Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy, an identity coach helping others who struggle with their sexual identity and families of queer youth find their path of understanding and acceptance.
And I'm Carla, a mom empowerment coach empowering moms to own their new identities and motherhood journeys.
And together we are the EFFing Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It.
All right. Happy Monday, everybody. We are the EFFing Madres. And I'm Romy. This is Carla. We are two best friends, two girl mamas, two Latinas, two podcasters. Officially, we are podcasters. We've been doing this for a hot minute now.
You know what? By the way, we totally forgot to acknowledge that on August 1st was our 2-year anniversary. We forgot. And it's been 2 years.
Okay. Happy anniversary to us.
Happy anniversary to us.
We've been doing
just as moms, we just don't like this shit just like flies over our heads. But yeah, happy anniversary.
Wow. That's weird because when I do our flashback, our Eff It Fridays, which I'm going to post up today, I had looked at our first episode. Whew.
Was it bad?
Carla.
Oh God.
The sound and the mics and then the edits. I was like, oh, we've come a long way, even with all the technical difficulties we've had. I was like, remember we'd never done it.
Yeah.
No. But we need to do like a before and after because that first one was good.
One thing I remember looking back, I'm like, what was I doing with my eyebrows? What the fuck? Like they just looked like I wasn't drawing them in properly. I'm like, really bad.
I don't know, but Carla, I've had probably 67 hairstyles in the last 2 years that we've done this podcast.
Yeah, I know. Mine has been the same, and yours has changed.
Every time I go back and do an Eff It one, I'm like, what stage was I in right now? Like, who was I that time?
Yeah.
So we're podcasters. We talk to moms every week, and we interview them and chat with them and ask them questions about their Eff It moments. And their Eff It moment is saying, fuck it, we're going to walk through this. We're going to walk into this. We're going to walk away from this. We're going to walk into something new. It could be a mental shift, a physical thing that we do. It's just so many things that as moms, it's important that we are still allowed to say Eff it and do big things. So Carla, who do we have on today?
So we have a madre of two who is a boxer, or she is, I believe her Eff It moment is going to talk about her retiring from her boxing career. Her name is Jamie the Hurricane, which is so cool.
So cool.
Imagine
saying your mom is Jamie the Hurricane.
Oh my God. Like just to say that my mom was a boxer, I've been like, oh, I was just imagining myself as her daughter being like, my mom's a boxer. My mom's a boxer.
I would 100%. Yes, 100%.
Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna dive into this is obviously a transition in her life, so that's why she's saying Eff It. So we're curious to hear how that's gonna go. I'm sure for an athlete and having that athletic structure all her life, it's definitely probably an interesting shift. So curious to hear how it's going.
I can't wait.
So let's bring her in.
Yeah.
She's here. She's our madre. And so we're just going to jump right into the questions. So Jamie, the first question for you is, what shifted your mindset to say Eff It that you're going to share with us today?
I think for me, like it was just, of course it was my kids. So I had retired from boxing. I started boxing when I was 15 and I came out of retirement at 44 after having my children. And I think I just wanted to show them like, age is just a number and I still had so much passion for the sport. And I wanted to really show them what like hard work was. And if you work at something, you will, you can achieve your dreams. And that really was a push for me, is just doing it for them. And of course myself too, but just showing them something that they didn't really see from me before.
So you then, I know you, before we jumped on here, you said you just recently retired, right?
Yep.
You recently stopped. So you've been boxing since you were 15, professionally?
So I was amateur first. So I was an amateur until I was about 21. And then I turned pro, moved to the United States. I actually had my daughter in 2009. I was still fighting. I had her back in the ring 7 months later after having my first child. I had a couple fights. I've retired so many times. Retired again. I promise this is it. And then I went to have one more fight. Had my son. Had that last fight, and then I was retired for 8 years. And then came out of retirement at 44 and just turned 48.
Okay, first
Wow.
of all, we're trying to retire at 44, Carla. Like,
Yeah. Not from boxing though. That's
yeah,
pretty
no.
intense. Wow.
Okay, so then you basically said F it recently. This is your final retirement. You are saying F it, I'm done, right? Just so we're really clear that you're finishing?
I'm done. Yeah, no more boxing.
And why? Like, what
Yeah.
is it? Just because you are now 48? What is it that you're looking to focus on now? What made you come to this decision?
Yeah, it's a couple things. So my age is a factor. Most people aren't boxing even past 40. So for me, I'm boxing women that are 30 years old. And that's, they're for 48, I feel tremendous, but there are certain things I could see, like just the injuries and recovery was starting to become a little more difficult. Um, and I do own a boxing gym and I'm a boxing coach. So I train fighters also. So, I felt like over the last 4 years that kind of became secondary. And I think the third reason, just, my kids are everything. My son is, playing for a great soccer team, and that's becoming kind of more of a commitment for him. My daughter's a musician, so um, now it's time for them to really reach their goals and go for what they want to go for and kind of live out their passion. But I'm just glad that I got to show them what that was like. You know, they got to be a part of it.
Yeah, I love
Right.
that. I mean, so then with you deciding to kind of step back now and maybe focus on their dreams, right? And they're pursuing their desires because they've watched you do it, which is such a great like role model for them to see that, right? To know that they can do that. What kind of opportunities are opening up for you as you're saying, F it, I'm done?
I mean, I've only been done boxing for like 6 weeks. So it's still new, but I think just, shifting my mindset at my business and putting, as an athlete, you have that desire, you have that discipline and that passion, and I'm just putting that into other things in my life. So, investing more in my business. I have started training for something else, because I'm just one that doesn't sit well. So I'm trying to do like a fitness competition, bodybuilding. Um, but just I have all those things that I got from boxing, the discipline, the drive, the passion. And as I said, I'm just putting them into other aspects in my life.
Yeah, it's like a new
Yeah.
chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I guess how could I ask this question? Usually we always ask like what are positive or negative things that you've learned since saying F it, but you've only been in the 6 weeks. How has it sat with you in these 6 weeks
Yeah.
being retired for someone that is constantly going? Has it been a little bit of a mind fuck for you to just kind of like step back and close that chapter? Or are you more like, okay, yes, I'm like, that's just done and I feel it. Now I'm just focusing on these other things.
It's been tough in some ways. I think the first like 2 to 3 weeks were really tough because I'm someone who is all about routine. And, I train at these times every day. I eat these things. Like I'm pretty much doing the same thing every day. So that was a little bit difficult. Um, and just learning how my husband was kind of laughing because a couple times I'd be like, yeah, let's go get a drink or let's go do this, or he's like, you're never spontaneous, like everything is so planned. So I guess learning how to be spontaneous and
Mhm.
enjoy things a little bit more, that has been a little difficult for me, but I'm easing into it. And like I said, I have another focus in fitness, more just for me because I enjoy training. And I know that, boxing, it's been the end of the road for me. But I feel very at peace and I'm very proud of what I did in the sport. And I think just leaving the sport how I did, it really helped me close the door finally, after 33 years of boxing.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Wow.
can't even imagine one being in your 40s. I'm in my 40s and I've been boxing for the last 3 years. My dad was a boxer, owned a boxing gym, and it's my
Okay.
life. It's my passion, but like even when I spar, I'm like I'm a mom. Like I can't get knocked out. Like you can't hurt. Like I'm so and I spar and I get in there, but like I'm scared because of my age and just being a mom. So like you being a mom and in our 40s and just going at it already is an effort moment in itself of just saying I'm gonna F and do this, right? I'm gonna box as a mom, and then being able to
Hmm.
pull yourself out of it and like you said, kind of relax a little bit, how that's uncomfortable. I know Carla and I are really structured as well. So when you take us out of some of that, it is hard to just not have something like that.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
hard for us as moms, it's hard for us as women to just lose having our passion, right? So I can
Hmm.
imagine there is a challenge with letting that go. I'm wondering, how have you worked through the negative self-talk? Have you had negative self-talk in terms of quitting this time? And how are you going to push yourself through staying away from the sport that way?
I honestly, I feel so at peace. I have not had any negative self-talk about my retirement. I think coming back after being retired for 8 years was more of a struggle, because I kept thinking like I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too, are people just like, is this a joke? Like what, because even being a female boxer in a man's sport, I started boxing in 92. I was the second female registered in Canada as a boxer. So, I was someone who was a pioneer of the sport, and we were always kind of looked down upon. And I just didn't want people to look down on me because of my age.
Mm.
I was trying to prove something. I was trying to prove something to myself. And I think older athletes, get pushed aside. And I think people forget about us. And I just wanted to make people aware that, I am older. I am in, at the time, my mid 40s. I can do this. It might look a little different as far as training and conditioning, but I can do it, and I
Yeah.
did it. So I
Yeah.
feel very, very good about it. There's no negative self-talk.
You feel accomplished. You feel like you did what you came to do when you came back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I came back for that reason, to
Mhm.
show my kids, to show people, and I that was my purpose, and I live my purpose. So that's where I feel at ease with everything.
Because you mentioned the age thing, and Carla and I are really big. We're in our 40s, trying to get stronger, trying to build muscle, and we're passionate about trying to be the strongest we can be in this age, right? And so with you saying this, like, just quickly before we go into the next one, because I know so many of us are fascinated by it, and you are an example of this. Like, what is your advice to us women in our 40s, like going after this kind of strength training?
I think, consistency, and just it is boring. It's the same things over and over again. But it works. A lot of times I train people and they're doing this and they're doing this. And I'm like, just pick one thing and go for it for like 6 months and see if it works. I have done some bodybuilding before, and I was doing it over COVID, before I came back into boxing. And, you know, I did the same thing for 2 years. Same thing over and over. And it works. It's just
Yeah.
it's boring. Consistency, it works. But I think that is like a big key, is just not getting distracted by, all the things we see on the internet and Instagram, and just finding your body. The other thing is I'm a vegan, so it makes it a little more challenging. Um, you know, just building muscle. I have to do things a little bit differently and really watch my diet. My diet is like a huge factor for me. And I would think, vegan, not vegan, just putting good food in your body.
Hmm.
That's nutrition is, I mean, I can't talk enough about nutrition, how important it is.
Yeah.
I think that, but I think like I don't know, Romy. I think probably this is similar for you, but I've listened to some podcasts with some doctors like Stacey Sims and all of that who have talked about like women tend to eat to be skinny, not
Mm,
eat to be strong. And
Hmm.
right.
so, both Romy and I have like switched up our eating. And I'll admit it's been a struggle to change because of the routine that I have done for so many years, to start like trying to eat more and trying to eat differently, and like my body does feel different, but
Right.
it kind of does, like it's kind of messing a little bit with my head because I'm like I finally feel my ass, which I've never felt before. Like I feel it actually moving, but it makes my clothes fit different, and that like kind of messes with my head. So it's like just knowing though, hearing from you that it works, and and like to focus on the strong versus the skinny, especially like
Yeah.
in your 40s, is super important. So I think that just hearing that was a good reminder for me and hopefully women out there that like
Yes.
if you do approach, your 40s and like especially perimenopause and all that stuff, your body changes and you have to focus on being strong because all of the things that could happen if you don't, like the degenerative illnesses and all that sort of stuff that
Yeah.
can happen if you don't switch it up. So,
Right.
yeah, it was nice to
Yeah.
hear that be like, it fucking works and this is what you should be doing.
I just
So
want
thank you
more
for
Yeah.
that.
And
women
I
being
think,
badass, strong women in their 40s that are able to lift and build and be healthy and fight. Like you're such
yeah.
a role model for all of us. And I love seeing, like we've been saying, more strong women than like
Mhm.
the skinny, let's all starve ourselves and be unhealthy and be skinny society that a lot of us grew up in. And now we're seeing so many like strong women. And it's so good for our kids to see. And I can't imagine your
Right.
children watching this, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's funny because when I'm cutting weight, they're like, "Okay, what do you?" Like I've been very relaxed the last few weeks, and they're like, "Oh my God, Mom, it's nice to see you eat some different food." They understand what I do and why I do it, but I before I decide to do the fitness competition, that nutrition and bodybuilding is everything. It's so strict. But I ask them first. I'm like, "Are you guys okay with this?" Because I am going to be eating different meals and I'm going to be eating sometimes more, sometimes less. So are you okay with this? Because I don't want them, especially I have a 15-year-old daughter, I don't want
Yeah.
her to um, think it's unhealthy,
Yeah.
or get ideas in her head about certain things about nutrition that aren't true. One thing I just want to add to is I think women need to realize too, you need to eat for your body. So when you're pregnant, you need to eat differently. When I'm boxing, I eat differently from when I'm bodybuilding. If I'm working a lot and I'm holding pads all day or training people, I need to eat for my body. And
Mm.
whatever the job of your body is right now, you need to eat for that. And I think that's important. Like you said, not being skinny, but you need to provide the proper amount of fuel for your body for what it's doing at the time in your life, and it's going to change. And that's okay. Going through menopause, you're going to eat differently. That's
Mhm.
okay.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And I love that you acknowledged your daughter watching these eating habits and being respectful and responsible around what that looks like and the reason why. So she doesn't get that confused, because it's such a hard age with our girls when they see that, right? And really having them
Right.
understand why we're doing these things, so they don't get that confusion around food like so many of us did growing up. I really appreciate you saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
true though. It's about fuel, and food can be fun, but really at the end of the day, you're trying to fuel that body.
Yep.
So I guess, I mean, it's only been 6 weeks, but curious
Mm.
to know, like how do you feel now versus when you were still like pre-retirement sort of thing? Like, I mean, I know you've retired several times, but like prior to that, how do you feel now versus then? Like, what type of person do you feel like you're becoming now with the boxing now being in your past?
I think, it's funny because this last fight, was tough. Um, but I finally came to that place where I was very accepting.
Mm.
I think as an athlete, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and it's hard managing a business, managing two kids, training twice a day. It's very hard, but I became very at peace with what I'm doing, and that things aren't always going to be perfect, and again putting that pressure on myself, and I feel like that is now carrying into the rest of my life. Even 10 years ago, I was not like that. Like,
Mm.
if something went wrong, I would like, lose my shit or whatever. You just, or if things weren't perfect, yeah, it wasn't good enough. And just being more accepting, I think, is a big thing, and accepting like who I am and what I can do, and sometimes I can't do everything, and that's okay. I always try, but it might not happen. So I just, it's just a very, I just feel like I'm shifting a lot in the last, even the last like 6 months.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're giving yourself a lot more grace
Yes.
than
Yes.
before,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
important as a
Yeah.
mom, but also, yeah, as an athlete who has been so strict, to finally, when you get to this point, you kind of do have to like sit back a little bit, otherwise it could eat you like it eat your mind.
Oh, absolutely. And I did that for so many years. And I think like, I wish I had a role model at the time, being a young athlete, like in my 20s and stuff, that, kind of just said that, like, don't let it eat your mind, don't let it take over. And, I think I probably would have been a little happier during it, because sometimes
Mhm.
you don't, you don't love what you do all the time as an athlete or as any job,
Mhm.
and I try and teach my kids that. Like, another thing too is just like when they need that break, give them the break.
Yeah.
Kids have so much pressure on them now. So, if they're coming to me and just being like, "Oh, I'm burnt out," I'm like, "All right, we're not going today. We're not, that you're
Yeah.
not quitting. You're
Yeah.
taking care of your mind first, because that's always got to be number one."
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's
I
super
have a
important.
question. It's off this, but just for your age and what you've gone through, and like I know as we're getting older and seeing, it feels like for us, it just even just in our 40s, it's like a whole new life. It's like a whole new chapter. I feel like it's like this second half, this rebirth, this new start. What does it feel like, kind of coming out of your 40s, getting into your 50s with this new shift? Like, do you feel like there's like this whole new chapter in life ahead of you?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I definitely, like I said, the last like 6 months, I felt a shift, and I think just as you age, your priorities are different. Things are more meaningful. You try and, spend time and put effort into things that are more meaningful to you. And, I feel so blessed that I've been able to live out my passion for over 30 years, and I think I just appreciate that a lot more. And I'm still like, I've been in the gym since like 6 a.m. today. I'm still, training people all day and loving it. And I have to say, even, just as a coach, I feel better. I feel better as a mentor. I feel better, because I think I kind of have it all, not everything, but a lot of things
Yeah.
figured out that I didn't have, 5, 10 years ago figured out.
Yes. Yeah. I think we enjoy things. And like you said at some point in this, like you take it in more. I feel like at this age, we just really value things more the older we get.
Yes.
And like with our kids, so we really like can appreciate the things that we're doing. I feel in a way that like we couldn't when we were younger. It was more just do, 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 do. This is the grind, as opposed to really taking it in and looking back and like being like, oh, I really am grateful, right? That I get to do this or I
Right.
get to be here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
So I my last question then would be to you. What is your message to anybody who is listening and to your children?
I mean, I think for me, because I had such an unusual passion, when I started boxing, people always said no to me. We don't want you here. I got kicked out of gyms, or they didn't want me in the gym as being a female boxer. But I never gave up. And I think if you have that passion, you have that drive, you have to go for it. There's always other things, it- college is always going to be there, jobs are always going to be there, but I think if you don't do that, I think that, is very detrimental to somebody. So, like I said, I have a soccer player and a musician, and I'm like, go for it. See how
Yeah.
far you can go. I'm here to support. And if it doesn't work out, we got plan B.
Hmm.
But a lot of people won't even try because they're afraid.
Yes.
Yeah. Or their
Yes.
parents' fears get placed onto the kids, and so then they're like, "Oh, I can't. Like,
I
my
can't.
parents said
Yeah.
this or whatever." So that's really great that you have such support. You're giving such support to your children, because not a lot of kids get that. Like, I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of parents like they try to live vicariously through their kids and try to get them to do the things that they didn't achieve, which is like the worst thing that you could do to your children.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that your children sound like they're very lucky to have such a supportive mom.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I'm
such a
lucky. I have
strong
amazing
mom.
kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's I have to say, like, just having them watch me box, or because when I boxed with them when I was boxing before and they're firstborn, obviously they did not go to the fights and they were little and they never saw it. But now having them, I think the best. I don't want to cry, but the best compliment my daughter gave me one day. It was a couple days before a fight last year, and she's like, I just want you to know how inspiring you are to me. And I was like, oh my God. I'm
Oh
like, that,
god.
like, now I can die because that was
I'm
the
gonna
best thing.
cry.
Like,
I
I'm
was like,
getting, I know.
Yeah.
that's
Oh my
the
God.
sweetest thing to hear.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
like, that's all I need. And like, she's 15, not
Oh my
always a
gosh.
perfect child, but I'm like, okay, right now, like,
Yeah.
that's up there.
Oh,
Oh my
I'm
God.
I'm PMSing, so the tears are coming. I'm like, but the
Yeah.
day my daughter says you
Yeah.
inspire me, I like put me in my grave, call me done, it's over.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like
I
I've
know. It's
done
like,
what I
I've
wanted to
done
do.
it.
yeah. Yes.
That's amazing.
And I think she just sees the hard work and the dedication. And I still go to all the music, I go to all the soccer, and I make it work. And that is teaching them hard work is about another big thing. And I think that's really important for kids to see.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know that all of us, our daughters are watching, right? I know you know you have two kids. We've got two girls, Carla and I know our girls are watching us take care of ourselves and work hard and do our podcast and create our businesses and the things that we've been doing. So they're still younger, but I do hope, and I know at some point they're watching, they're seeing, and we're leading by example by us being consistent and going after the
Mm-hmm.
things we love and taking care of our bodies, right? And taking care of our minds and not losing our passion just because we're moms. That's what we love about this podcast, that like we still get to
Right.
be women, and it's really important for our children to see us be that. It's
Mm-hmm.
such a
Yeah.
beautiful gift to give them.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it teaches them that moving forward in their life, they've always got to make sure that they fill their, like what we'd say all the time, they fill their cup first,
Yes.
because then they have enough to overflow to other people. Because
Right.
if you were to have like given up boxing after you gave, birth to your kids, I'm sure there'd still be that yearning. And then and then it becomes almost like a resentment for a
Yes.
lot of people when they're not able to get back or do those things, because like, well, now I'm a mom and I have kids. And then it's just a bitter mom. And then like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is that for your kids?
Yeah, I think you said it best, just, taking care of you first, like whatever it is, if it's jogging every day or if it's going to the gym or, whatever even if it's not a huge passion, but just taking that time and allowing yourself that time, because then
Mhm.
you're better, everybody's better.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
true. So true.
Well, we cannot thank you enough for joining us and for coming on here. I'm always inspired. I know Carla is too, by like strong, amazing women. We love that. We As soon as I heard you were boxing and you were a mom, I was like, please let me talk to her. Like,
Yeah.
please, like so badass. Where can anybody follow you or find you? Where's your gym? Any shout outs to any of the stuff that you're working on?
So my gym's in Warwick, Rhode Island. It's called On the Ropes, and we're four women that own it, which is awesome. And we're moms, so we get it. And then my Instagram is Jamie the Hurricane.
I love it.
Love that.
That's so
Yeah.
rad.
So
That's so rad.
thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Thank
So this
you.
is where we're all going to say just F it, but we're going to have you start it off. So you're just literally going to say just F it and we'll follow.
Just F it.
Just F it.
Just F it.